We've just been talking about header bidding, its potential for the industry, why it's such a buzzword at Dmexco 2016. I'm delighted to say I'm joined by someone who's going to be able to offer us a technical perspective on the subject. It's Ingo Ruebe, who is the Chief Technology Officer for Burda Magazines. Thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Now, header bidding, is it something you're hearing quite a lot at this year's festival?
Well, on the festival, yes, but actually not so much in our daily business.
Okay.
Because when you look at magazine publisher, we normally come from obviously magazines, and advertising was a really nice thing back in the old years when we got really a lot of money, and then we all went obviously to the digital side and tried to earn some money there with advertising and also with paid content and stuff like that, and that seems to be really complicated for us because we don't have the reach as just like a Facebook or any other social media platform can ever reach, because it's just magazines. So we are quite happy if we get a couple of million unique users on our sites, or maybe 10 or 20. That's really big then. Those bidding things are obviously something which is discussed in the ads department, but I don't think it is actually. I don't think the advertising industry is really the future for our magazines online.
The challenge is, I guess, for magazines that were once traditionally only print products, they had their regular sources of advertising, and obviously you sold, copies for subscription or newsstand as well. The move to digital has perhaps meant that advertising revenues have become maybe devalued compared to what was in print.
Right.
So there's a revenue challenge for publishers, which. Right. Events like this, with all of these companies here offering these various solutions, I guess they're all saying they can help publishers get those revenues back up. It must be a challenge trying to work out which is the right technology for your company.
Yes, those companies are trying to help us definitely, and maybe they can even help us somehow and increasing our revenues by maybe 10% or so. But that doesn't help, because what we actually need is something like 2,000%, and this cannot be done by technology. I think this can only be done by rethinking the whole problem. And the solution for that, in my personal opinion, is probably that we have not to copy what we did with the magazines. With the magazines, we just had some reach, and we sold this reach to the industry then, and we sold our readers. And the big chance compared with magazines, where you have your one-way communication, is that we use the two-way communication and learn something about our consumers. And when we learn something about our consumers, we can produce new products in that, and those new products can be a new revenue stream for us. And I think this is the right direction. I think we misunderstood the whole concept not from when you are a social network or something else, or doing e-commerce. That's something completely different. But from a magazine point of view, I think we misunderstood the chances of the digital age, because the digital age gives us the possibility to learn about the consumers, to get in contact with them, to learn who they are. If you have a magazine, put it out to the newsstand, you never know which article was read and why it was bought. Yeah. So, but in the digital world, we can find out about that. And we have a very strong link to our customers, actually, because we have big brands, and the customers are linked to those brands, and they trust us. They have a great deal of trust. It's not like when you go and make some email marketing or so, then you definitely have no trust. So we have all those chances. We have the brands. We can produce content. We have the great trust of our readers, and I think this is the key to the future. So it's more getting in touch with the people, and I think this will pay off maybe in a couple of years. But advertising, it's good that it's there. Don't take it away, please. It's great that we have it, because it gives us some money. But compared to what we lose in the print sector, this can never be compensated by what we do on the digital sector, and when we do it with advertising. And companies helping us there are greatly appreciated, but they're not the solution for the problem.
Yeah, well, it's an interesting message at an event like this, where obviously it's all about the technology and companies, and the sort of potential that publishers will end up with bigger and bigger technology stacks. Yeah. Actually, you're saying that's not necessarily the answer. The answer is learn more about your consumer, develop that relationship, and that'll help.
Exactly, and can also use technology for that, of course. It's really nice if you have big data farms and stuff like that, which give you an exact information about who is this reader, what is he interested in, how can I talk to him, how can I monetize him in the future. But I think we have the ability to monetize the individual, and if you go around advertising, you never monetize the individual, you always monetize a big group of people.
Yeah.
And of course there are people in between and they want to earn money, and so I think this is the solution. It's more about the individual person.
Yeah, and obviously as a publisher, I believe you're based in Germany, and this is a huge event where a lot of guys have come over from America, a lot of big American companies as well. What are you seeing from those markets in the US that you think are going to work in Germany, and maybe what might not work in Germany?
In fact, I'm not really thrilled by what is happening in the US right now. What's happening in the US is a lot about video. It's the video things are sold out, and they're making a lot of money with that, and that's all great. But I tend to look at other countries where they have real problems. So, for example, I went to Brazil a couple of weeks ago and looked at the Brazilian market and the Brazilian magazine market, of course. And this is very interesting because they lost 60% of their whole circulation within 2 years. So they really are in trouble. And when you see what they are aiming for is that they are aiming for the individual customer now, and this, I think this is much more interesting, and leads us into a very interesting future with a lot of obstacles, and it's going to be really, really complicated. But what those companies are showing right now, and I was really fascinated by the Brazilian market, because they are like 2 years at least ahead of us, but in a completely different direction than the US is ahead of us. So that's really interesting. And it's not all like the US market, I think. It's different things coming over.
Yeah, it'll be fascinating to see. Well, thank you very much for stopping by the M&M Global studio. It'll be very good to talk to you, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the festival.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.